us, and this whole arena of what's called land acknowledgement is something many people are getting interested in, and we are. And so I know you've been working with a lot of people about it, and what a great thing for us to have you with us tonight. So I see there are a few more people. So I don't know, Joseph, you want to make your way over here, and do you have some jokes you can tell us while we're getting ready or not? All right. I'm going to make sure I'm going to ask our youth to come in. There's somebody I know. Carol. Wow. Great to see you.
I hope I share some interesting things with you probably may not know. And it's not my intention to hurt anybody's feelings, so just to know that. So,
I'm going to move this out of the way. You can all see him. And then people on Zoom, right, you can see Joseph. Take care of this little technical thing. We have got it. There we go. All right. I think we can get started.
okay.
So again, welcome Joseph Standing Bear to St. Mark's. Thank you for being with us.
It's an honor and privilege to be here tonight, and I hope that I'm talking clear from my heart. To know Native people, you have to know about some figures and facts that most are not aware of. For instance, how many know how many billion acres we have in North America? That's actually part of Turtle Island, where our Native people. It's actually 2.39 billion acres. Now, when you think about that, 2.39 billion acres, just the United States alone. You know, and of that, we had over 350 languages, which we only have 150 left now. Unfortunately, we do have the highest suicide rate, the highest dropout rate, the highest drug addiction, the highest unemployment. So our leaders are really, really struggling with finding methods and ways to uplift our people. It's really a difficult thing. When I was a young boy, my grandmother was one of those that was taken to a boarding school, which I will talk about a little later on. You know, and I was always interested in what happened to the people there. And of all the years I knew my grandmother, asked her many, many times. She'd look at me, her eyes would glaze over, and she'd walk away. Could never speak one single word what happened to the boarding school to her during those days. And a little bit about that, I think I'll touch on that now a little bit. When the colonists came, you know, they were kind of, they were down on their luck. They didn't have a lot of food, and they were really sick, and unfortunately, their illnesses they brought within about 50 years, most people agree, wiped up to half of our people just from the disease spreading. We had no immunity to it. So when we were still out east, and there was a lot of fighting going on, you know, it was kind of easy in those days to have a little war and, you know, and get away with it too much. But as we were pushed further and further west, the press started following our people around and the military around. And we started getting this romanticized, you know, image of the noble savage, rather. And it was getting harder for the military actually to out and out, you know, kill you. So what happened was back in the 1880s, 1870s, there was a general. And he had the idea, and on the surface it looked like it was a good thing. He said, we're going to take these native kids and we're going to teach them our way, and they're going to be so much better off, and blah, blah, blah. But the thing of it is, what he knew was that our people share our language and our ideas by sitting down and talking amongst ourselves. You know, we listen to the elders. So he knew if he could break that chain would deal with severe blow to our people. So what he did was this thing passed, and they would come to your house, or your village, and they'd say, "We're taking your children." Now you had no right to say no; they just were taken, And my grandmother was one of those that went to Carlisle, And normally, what happened to the people when they got there, their personal belongings were thrown away or burned. Your hair was cut short. You had to wear a school uniform. You traveled about in the day with the sound of the bell, the classroom bell. Well, to nomadic people, we didn't have no bells. We didn't have any classrooms like that, and we didn't have things that regimented our life in that way. So it was a severe thing. But what happened was that many of our children died there. That's another topic we'll cover on a different time. But, so my grandmother, had many things that she witnessed and occurred to herself that, you people would never think would happen. In America, that this shouldn't happen. But it did happen. In fact, I'll touch about that a little bit. Now, the orange shirt. How many of you know about the orange shirt? Anybody? Not one? Well, the orange shirt started actually a couple years ago. And when they started going to the boarding schools and started digging around, they started finding thousands of our children that were never reported that were buried. Just last fall, the Sioux people, they got a huge amount back, and they had a big tribal burial. And when I say thousands, I mean many thousands. Now, how many of you heard of the red dress? Anybody? Not one? Well, I'm surprised on that. But the red dress, unfortunately, is a rather shameful thing that happens today in today's world. And what the red dress is about, because the reservations are so large and there's so few police or people that are watching, it's very easy for their Eastern European-backed gangs. And they hijack the women, and they bring them over to the Great Lakes, and they stick them on the freighters, and away they go to Europe. And that is many thousands. So nobody, just the fact that you people don't know about that, kind of shows you how well that's covered up. But if you were to go to the Canadian side, there's a Walmart that's up there, and that whole big wall, it's got nothing but the faces of these women and children that have been taken. And most of them never come back. Very few ever seen again. So the thing about that is we feel, Native people feel, that the government is part of that in a way, because you couldn't have thousands of people continually taken and not know what's happening with that. So there was a woman up north in Canada who was a Native, and her name was Jamie Black. And Jamie Black, she started to make awareness of that. And what she did on this one highway that most of the girls were taken on, she'd get these red dresses. And every so often, she'd hang a red dress in the trees. So as you're driving down the highway, people would ask, what are these red dresses about? So what I did at our powwow, which was at Naperville about 4 years ago, something like that, I invited her down. And I said, I want you to bring your red dresses down. And again, nobody knew about what that was. And so I made that announcement to our community in Chicago and the surrounding areas that the women who were going to dance at the powwow bring their red dress. So she comes out of the background, she has all these red dresses, and she starts passing them out, and everybody thinks that we're going to go right to the arena and start dancing. And I said, no, we're not going to do that. I said, everybody put the red dresses on. I opened the back gate of Naperville, the settlement, and we went on to Aurora Avenue, and we went down Aurora Avenue with the drums, and then back in and then danced. And the reason I did that, because I wanted to make awareness that there's something wrong with this government, both Canadian and ours, that we fail to see that and appreciate that, Just from the fact that you didn't hear about that kind of tells me, it's not a good thing. And there's many things that happen, and because, you live here and you live a decent life, and, everybody's busy earning money and trying to survive, that sometimes you become insulated and don't see what's happening. And everybody knows about Africa and the starving kids, and there's sure a lot of them out there, and there really are, and all the things that are happening in Europe. But that has never stopped happening here. You know, the fact that we had the highest dropout rate. I knew a young couple, they had a 3-year-old, and then they moved out of Chicago because they wanted to be in a better place. They moved back to the res, you know, and their 4-year-old daughter was so despondent. At 4 years old, she sat on the railroad track and was killed by a train.